I'd always been a brave person, but I still worried about my upcoming surgery. Was I doing the right thing? The door to my ward suddenly opened and a smiling nurse walked into the room. "The operating room is ready." That was it. There was no turning back. Soon I would wake up a different person. But then, to my shock, what the what? Hi, I'm Judy. The Private Diary channel is always there to cheer you up. So please subscribe and like this video. Now fasten your seatbelts because my story is a roller coaster. I lived with my mom. She used to be a successful actress, but stopped working a few years ago, and I had no idea why. I still remembered the way her fans would follow her around when I was a kid. It was no wonder. She was gorgeous. "I'm perfect! Isn't that right, sweetie? You look sick! What? Who taught you to talk like that? Aunt Patty?" Of course it was her. Mom's sister came for a visit and instantly became my favorite person in the world. Aunt Patty was the exact opposite of Mom. She rode a bike and worked as a stunt woman. Hanging out with her was so much fun. Wow, that was rad! And one day I got on my bike and tried to pull off a crazy stunt just like her. I had no idea that it took her years of training to become good at what she did. I fell and landed face first on the curb. That incident left me with a huge, ugly scar on my face. Mom blamed Aunt Patty for it. She kicked her out and forbade her from talking to me again. Of course, she tried to comfort me. "Don't worry, Judy. The scar doesn't look bad at all." Unfortunately, the kids at school were very cruel. They came up with a nasty nickname for me called Frankenstein. That's an ugly monster, in case you didn't know. It made me feel very self-conscious, and I started to hide from my classmates in a janitor's closet. Until one day, I ran into Oliver there. He was a weirdo and called himself a bookworm. "Oh, hello. I often come here to read in silence, but you can stay." He suddenly beamed at me and pointed at his book. "Wow, your scar is so cool. You're special like Harry Potter." His words cheered me up. I decided I wouldn't despair even though I would never grow up to be as beautiful as Mom. It wouldn't stop me from being happy. I regained my confidence and no longer felt ashamed of my scar. Oliver and I were inseparable ever since, like two Oreo cookies. My friend knew every little thing about me and I knew everything there was to know about him. I was a tomboy. Motocross and rock climbing became my hobbies. Of course, Mom knew nothing about my love for extreme sports. I tried to get Oliver interested in my hobbies too, but no way. I don't have the guts for that. He came to cheer for me at practice all the time, though. Life was pretty great. But for some reason, the older I got, the worse Mom treated me. She didn't punish or scream at me. She just barely seemed to notice me. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on. One day, I asked her if she wanted to spend the day with me. "A new steakhouse just opened in town. Let's go there and try the whole menu." But Mom looked at me indifferently and turned away. "I'm not going anywhere with you." That's when I realized Mom was ashamed of me. She was afraid people would see how ugly her daughter was. The next day, I came to motocross practice as usual. Oliver was sitting in the stands with his face buried in a book. When he heard me sigh, he looked up. "What's up, Judy?" "I don't think Mom loves me anymore." "Get that nonsense out of your head. How can a mother not love her own daughter?" "She can if her daughter is the Frankenstein." "Well, wish me luck." I gave Oliver a fist bump, put on a helmet, and headed to the track. But before I reached my motorcycle, another biker rode past me and I ended up covered in dirt head to toe. "Sorry, I just joined the club and still have a lot to learn. My name is Nigel. Let me make this up to you and buy you an ice cream." With those words, he took off his helmet and beamed at me. Wow! Where were my sunglasses? His beauty was dazzling. "Are you asking me out?" "Sure I am." I smiled sadly to myself. I was sure Nigel was only hitting on me because he couldn't see my face. So I took off my helmet and proudly showed off my scar. "Have you changed your mind yet?" I was sure he would immediately try to ditch me, but he smiled even wider. "Of course I haven't. Why would I?" Why would such a handsome guy give me the time of day? Something wasn't adding up. I hesitantly said I would think about it and got on my bike. After practice, I came up to Oliver and pointed at Nigel. "See that Mr. Perfect? He asked me out on a date. Do you think I should say yes?" "Let's find out more about him first." When I came home that day, Mom had guests over. They were her old acquaintances from the movie industry. A woman suddenly came up to me and pinched my cheeks like I was a child. "Judy, look at you, all grown up. The last time I saw you, you were tiny." After that, she came up to Mom, pointed at me, and said something. It was probably something about me being ugly because Mom turned white as snow with anger, kicked all the guests out, and glared at me. "Go to your room!" I wasn't about to argue with her when she looked like that. As I was walking up the stairs, I heard something shatter behind me. Mom knocked over our large mirror. I was gutted. My heart felt like it broke into a million pieces too. I ran a hand over my scar. Would Mom love me more if I didn't have this? The next day, I was lost in thought when I came to practice. Nigel immediately came up to me and smiled his megawatt smile. Geez, I couldn't help thinking he should be advertising toothpaste with such snow-white teeth. "Hi, so how about that date? I'd rent a boat and… Hey, are you listening?" No, I wasn't listening because I was looking at Oliver. He was waving his arms like a man possessed and trying to get my attention. "Excuse me for a moment, Nigel." I came up to my friend and asked him why he was acting like he was fighting off a swarm of rabid bees. "As your best friend, I conducted a difficult investigation, gathered all the evidence, and… Get to the point! That guy wanted to befriend the other boys from the motocross club and bet them he would easily make… well… Frankenstein Judy fall for him? Yeah, I'm sorry. It made my blood boil, but at least now I knew why such a handsome guy asked me out. Thanks, Oliver. I'll deal with him. I walked up to Nigel and smiled slyly. Sure, I'll go on a date with you, but I get seasick easily. Let's go swimming in a lake instead. Okay. We got on my bike and I drove us to a beautiful place. Wow, this is so cool. It's about to get cooler, baby. I told Nigel to check if the water was warm first. Of course, he seized the chance to demonstrate his gorgeous body, took off his clothes, and dove into the lake. The water's amazing! Get in! I've got a better idea. I quickly took his clothes and got on the bike. Hey, what are you doing? Teaching you a lesson. Don't mess with girls. Ciao! I waved cheerfully and left with his clothes. Later, Oliver and I met at a cafe, and I told my friend that I got back at Nigel. Haha, how do you think he got home? Covering himself with leaves? Definitely. Good afternoon, ma'am. Isn't the weather great today? Young people these days. Oliver and I were dying laughing until we saw Nigel. He'd managed to get some clothes by then. He came over to us and glared at me indignantly. What the heck was that? What bet were you talking about? Has walking in your underwear damaged your memory or something? My friend found out about your disgusting plan. I calmly pointed at Oliver and Nigel immediately grabbed him. Why did you lie about me? Oliver was a scaredy cat and immediately admitted it. Okay, I lied. There was no bet. What the heck? Why would you do that? Judy, don't be mad. I was just afraid that you would spend less time with me if you started dating. How could you even think someone could destroy our friendship? Judy, I'm sorry, Get lost! Disappointed, I chased Oliver away and apologized to Nigel. I shouldn't have believed my friend with no proof. It just seemed suspicious to me that you asked me out. I was about to leave, but Nigel stopped me. Wait a minute. Why was it so hard for you to believe I had a crush on you? With a sad smile, I pointed at our reflections in the cafe window. You're perfect, and I'm Frankenstein. This is nonsense. You are stunning, even with the scar. You're the only one who notices it. Oh, if only that was true. But thanks for the compliment anyway. I still want to take you out on a date. Sure, why not? We went out on a boat. I told Nigel about myself and he listened attentively. I became interested in extreme sports because of my aunt. Mom forbade me from talking to Aunt Patty, though. Can you believe it? Mom doesn't even know I do motocross and rock climbing. We have nothing in common. I'm sure that deep down your mom worries about you. Things will get better, you'll see. He fell silent for a while as he looked at his reflection in the water, and then he told me something I wasn't expecting. When I was a kid, my ear stuck out a lot. The other kids made fun of me for it. My dad's a plastic surgeon, so he fixed it for me. But still, I get what you're going through. Thanks for telling me about it. Could I see you again tomorrow? Sorry, I have rock climbing practice, but thank you for today. I had a wonderful time. When I came back home, Oliver was waiting for me on the porch. Please, let's talk. I know you're mad at me, but I was afraid of losing you. You're right about one thing. I'm mad. Go away. I needed time to cool off, so I slammed the door shut in front of his face. The next morning, I came to climbing practice. When I was climbing up the wall, I suddenly felt someone glaring at me. I looked down and saw my mom. What was she doing there? I lost my concentration and my grip. Luckily, the safety rope did not let me fall. Mom watched it all with empty eyes and left without a word. I was left there, hanging on the safety rope and trying to figure out what just happened. Eventually, I trudged home, expecting Mom to give me the scolding of a lifetime. That was the worst possible way Mom could have found out about my extreme hobbies. I walked into the living room and immediately tried to tell Mom she had nothing to worry about, that it was all perfectly safe thanks to the equipment we used. But Mom surprised me again. She didn't even deign to look at me as she said dryly, "You can do whatever you want, Judy. I don't care." Honestly, I wish she had gone ballistic or screamed at me. Her indifference hurt more. Later, Nigel called me, and I told him what happened. Oliver must have ratted me out to get back at me for ignoring him. Actually, that was me. I'm sorry I didn't talk to you first. I just wanted to prove your mom cares about you. Strangely enough, I didn't get mad at Nigel. I just smiled sadly. Your plan didn't work. Mom didn't bat an eye when I almost fell off the climbing wall. She doesn't love me. All because of my stupid scar. And that's when it hit me. The solution to all my problems was right in front of my nose. Nigel, your dad is a plastic surgeon. Could he help me get rid of the scar? Judy, trust me, you don't need that. You're already beautiful. His words only made me more furious. It's easy for you to say, your flaw has been fixed. He tried to say something else, but I hung up and threw my phone aside. At that moment, it felt like the whole world was against me. I ignored Nigel for a few days, but eventually cooled off. He doesn't owe me anything. I shouldn't have blown up on him like that. I was about to call Nigel, but to my surprise, before I could do that, he knocked on my door. I still don't think you need surgery. But if you think it's going to improve your relationship with your mom, I will help. Nigel told me he convinced his dad to get rid of my scar for free. Words cannot describe how happy I was. My life would change for sure. Oh, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me. The doctor ran some tests and I waited for the surgery. Mom didn't know anything about it. I couldn't wait to surprise her with my new face. The day of the surgery finally came. Without telling Mom anything, I went to the clinic and ran into Oliver on my way there. Judy, do you have a minute? Not now, I'm in a hurry. I ran past him so fast I almost knocked him off his feet. Once I was in the clinic, I was overcome with doubts. Was I doing the right thing? A nurse walked into my ward. The operating room is ready, but then the door swung open and we'll come back to what happened next a bit later. But for now, ta-da! Check this out! My scar was gone! It was time to surprise my mom and I hurried home. Look, I'm pretty now! Will you love me like you used to? To my shock, Mom glared at me and growled. No! You can't be more beautiful than me! She turned around and left. I heard another mirror break in her room. Tears streamed down my face. I couldn't believe it. Everything Aunt Patty had said was true. Wait, I haven't told you about that yet. Let's rewind a bit. I was lying in the ward when 3 people burst in. Nigel, Oliver, and my aunt. What are you doing here? Saving you from rash decisions. Oliver told me he had seen me in a hurry and suspected something was wrong. He found Nigel, who told him he'd convinced his dad to remove my scar. You don't need to do that. I agree with Nigel. They tried to come up with a way to make me change my mind and thought about Aunt Patty. Oliver found her and told her everything. Sweetie, listen. Getting rid of that cute scar won't help you win back your mom's love. What are you talking about? Your mother knows that you're beautiful, scar or no scar. My aunt opened my eyes to the truth. It turned out after my mom's beauty had begun to fade, she was no longer offered any roles. She envied me. Remember the party your mom threw? One of the guests told her you were beautiful and could become an actress. So that's why Mom lost her temper, kicked all the guests out, and broke our mirror. She hated her aging face. But how do you know all this? The actors who were there told me. We're colleagues. I stayed away from you until I found out about the surgery. I can't believe it. Is Mom really that crazy? You don't need to get surgery to find out. There's another way to hide your scar. We went to a movie studio and one of the makeup artists there made a silicone pad for me to cover the scar. I also put concealer on it and the scar disappeared. It was movie magic. Now you can go to your mom, look at her reaction and decide whether you need surgery or not. You already know what happened next. My aunt's words turned out to be true. Mom envied me. I was gutted, but I wasn't weak. I wiped away my tears, walked into Mom's room, and took the silicone pad off my face. Now I know that I will never get your love back. You're just a selfish woman scared of aging. Judy, sweetie, wait! But I didn't listen to her and left. Of course, I canceled the surgery. I liked my looks and wasn't about to try and change myself for anyone. My relationship with my mom didn't bother me anymore. She tried to do better, but I couldn't forgive her yet. I decided to move out as soon as I turned 18. In the meantime, I kept in touch with Aunt Patty, and she got me an internship at a movie studio. I was also dating the most amazing guy in the world who thought I was beautiful. We liked to race each other, and Oliver came to cheer for us. I forgave him. After all, Oliver was a good friend, even if he was a little insecure. Look, Nigel, I think love is in the air. Oh, you like Harry Potter books too? I do, especially the Chamber of Secrets. Come on, let's give them some privacy. That's it. Sometimes I still use the silicone pad to hide my scar. But only to prank people who don't know me yet, like I pranked you. Tell me in the comments down below, are you satisfied with your appearance?